Hello, everyone. I have a very short news clip for you right now, and then just a short critique at the end. An inmate in a wheelchair during transport to the courthouse escaped out of the wheelchair right before they went in the courthouse and ran away. Please watch for some of the things. I put little notes along with the video to show some things. Not trying to Monday morning quarterback, but there was some very significant issues that contributed to this inmate's escape. So this is Little Rock, Arkansas, last Monday. I believe it was the 9th of March 2022. Watch the video and then we'll talk about it at the end.
Hey, young boy. What's up, so baby? Maybe that your gas can say it's 100, maybe you can get off of it. What you say, OJ? Hey, you see a shoe back there? Where's it? I'm gonna catch you, man. I'm finna shoot you. I ain't got my radio. Hey, can you call the police for me? Call the police for me. Hey, call the police. Call the police. Which way it go?
All right, everyone. For those of you who have been around corrections for a while or transporting inmates to and from, you probably see those mistakes are very clear and obvious. Number one, the inmate was not handcuffed. I paused the video at one point, and you can as well, where his hands are spread way apart as he's running. I cannot tell if he was shackled. It doesn't appear he was because he's gone. I mean, this inmate is so healthy. He had a neck brace on. He's in a wheelchair, and he's being transported. At one point, the officer stops the wheelchair and just looks down the other way. I guess they were looking for a shoe or something. And the officer, right at that point, is totally distracted. So that's one thing we have to kind of remember. We have to tell ourselves, keep your eyes on the inmate. The inmate is the most important thing. I know that we do things as they occur. Maybe his shoe fell off or something, I don't know. But whatever the officer was looking for, forget that. Let's get that inmate into that courthouse and get him secured where he needs to be in the holding cell before court. Because that distraction could have been bad, but the inmate didn't leave at that point. The officer then turns and wheels the inmate up. But did you notice what the inmate did? He knew the railing was on the right side. The officer's behind him. He jumps out of the wheelchair using the railing to kind of swing him around, and then he runs. Now he knows he's got a barrier between himself and the officer to buy him a few seconds. You know, the officer could jump over the railing and then go after him, but he knows that railing is going to give him a head start run. And what a head start run he got. This inmate had a miraculous recovery and took off, and the officer couldn't find him. Now, 2 hours later, he was found and apprehended and charged with escape. But there's another serious issue that happened in this video, and I know you saw it. The officer is yelling as he's running, "I ain't got my radio, ain't got my radio." Wow, that's not good, to not have all your equipment on you. That radio is your lifeline. I've got an inmate escape, headed this direction on this street. He's such and such. You can give a description as you go. I'm in foot pursuit of the inmate now, etc., etc. And this poor officer doesn't have his radio on. Now, a lot of people think, oh, those transport officers, I saw some people saying on the news that they don't have radios. Of course they have radios. Transport officers have radios. They should, and I know this officer probably had one because he said, I ain't got my radio. Forgot to put his radio on, or didn't have all his equipment, whatever it is, you have to have all your equipment. Did you know that inmate transportation is one of the weakest links? When we transport inmates, we're not behind the razor wire anymore. This inmate should have been handcuffed and shackled. That's what we do when we transport these inmates. Now there's going to be people out there say, oh, a handicapped inmate, you can't handcuff them and shackle them. You're darn right you can when you transport them. Now, I've seen it done, but it's not the right thing to do. Handcuff a wrist to the wheelchair. Obviously, he wouldn't have escaped, but here's the problem with being handcuffed to the wheelchair. It could be a liability if there's a traffic accident or a fire in the building. At least when they're handcuffed and shackled, they can get up and move, or you can move them alongside of them, right? So this inmate should have been handcuffed and shackled, and I'm sure if he would have been, the officer would have caught up with him and got him before he ever had to be recaptured 2 hours later. I'm hoping that the Sheriff's Department over there in Little Rock changes their policy and procedure. If their policy and procedure does say that the inmate should have been handcuffed and shackled, then this officer's got some problems that they're going to be looking at when they do the investigation of the escape. If he's supposed to have a radio on, which there's no doubt in my mind he's supposed to have his radio with him, that's going to be something they'll look at internally. You know, the inmate's going to be charged criminally with escape. We know that. But now what's going to happen with the officer? I don't think he'll lose his job. That's too severe. But I think something will be done with the officer. You know, maybe some remedial training, something like that. Okay, we're not talking about a termination issue, but definitely retraining. I think the whole training folks over there in that county, Pulaski County, I believe is the name of it. I believe they need to just go ahead and implement something in their training about transporting inmates to court, to medical, to the eye doctor, anywhere outside transports. They probably need to regroup and set some training standards and get everybody trained up on that. Hey, not trying to be a Monday morning quarterback. It's a shame this happened, but unfortunate incidents are what we use for training in many, many cases across the country. We don't want these things to happen, but when they do, let's learn from them, let's retrain, and let's get out there and do our job and stay safe, folks, and thank you for your service.